personal story. My mom has heart disease, so she has frequented heart doctors her whole life, my whole life for sure. And in Natchitoches, we have cardiology services. However, the procedures that my mother needs are not performed in Natchitoches, so we have to travel to Alexandria for her to have these done. They've taken care of my mother, this team, for many years. They've kept her alive. They are a part of our extended family, so they mean a lot to me. They mean a lot to my mom. But I want to talk about communication and the importance of communication. So I'm going to use the acronym AIDET, A-I-D-E-T, plus the promise. So what that means is A, acknowledge. Acknowledging when you see someone 10 feet away, saying hello at 5 feet away. Introducing yourself. What is the role that you play? Manage yourself up. Why are you competent in what you do? If you don't trust that you're competent in the work that you do, how in the world will your customers feel trustworthy or confident that you're going to be able to serve them? Without our customers, we have nothing. We don't have a job. We don't have a career. So it's all about the customer service. So you introduce yourself. You manage yourself up. Talk about your credentials, how long that you've been doing what you do, why you love what you do, the passion behind it. You manage others up, other team members, your colleagues, the organization that you work at. So then you talk about duration, the D, duration. You're going to talk about the time it takes to do something. If there are going to be delays, if you know that there's a delay, talk about the delay. If you know it takes 2 hours, say it's going to take 2.5 hours to get completed. So when you come in at that 2-hour mark, you've exceeded that customer's expectation. If you're not sure, go back and recommunicate. I told you it was going to take 15 minutes. I'm sorry, there was something else that came up that we had to take care of first. It's going to take another 10 minutes. So go back and recommunicate. Don't just say one time the duration. If it changes, communicate that. Then you explain, E, the explanation. Explain what you're doing, the why behind it, why you're doing this, what you can expect during and what you can expect out after, and then ask them, do you have any questions? If you see that there's concern or that they might not be hearing what you're saying, communicate it in a different way. Help them to understand what you're doing, the explanation behind it, and then you thank them. Thank you for letting me help you today. Thank you for letting me take care of you today. Thank you for your patience, because we all know that sometimes we have delays. So the personal story I want to talk to you about and why AIDET is so important to me, and how it makes a difference in customer service. It's personal. Talk about my mom. We go to have a pretty extensive procedure in Alexandria. I happened to be by myself this time. Normally I have a family member, but things happen, they couldn't come. Their AIDET was beautiful. They start out, they acknowledge us, they introduce themselves, they tell us what they're gonna be doing. They tell us how long it's gonna take. They also say, when your mother's procedure starts, I'm gonna let you know. It's gonna be 2 hours that procedure lasts. I'm gonna come give you updates throughout that procedure. So I'm counting on that. That's what they told me. So I go in the waiting room and I'm waiting. 15 minutes goes by, 20 minutes goes by. Still no one has told me that my mom's surgery has begun. So I go and ask, we're gonna have somebody come out and talk to you. We're gonna have somebody come and give you that update shortly. Another 15 minutes goes by, I go back again. Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Levy. It started 20 minutes ago. So I backtrack. I know it's going to last 2 hours, but I also know that they're going to give me updates throughout that procedure. 30 minutes goes by, no update. 45 minutes goes by. So we're about an hour and 15 minutes into the procedure, and I still don't have any updates. So my mind starts wandering. I go up to the desk and I ask, hey, somebody was going to come give me an update. Still haven't heard from anyone. Yes, ma'am, we're going to have somebody come talk to you shortly. Didn't happen. So about 3.5, 4 hours into the surgery, that was only supposed to last 2 hours. I'm now in the parking lot of this facility, full-fledged panic attack, hyperventilating, on the phone with my boss. That I don't normally do. Who do we know at this hospital? something's happened to my mom. She's dead on the table. They're not coming out to tell me. I need somebody to do something about this. About that time, I get a text saying, please come to the consult room, your mother's procedure is completed. So I get myself together because my mom, one, needs a ride home from the hospital, and I am in the healthcare profession, so I can't go upstairs acting like a fool. So I collect myself, go back up, chose not to say anything. They told me everything went perfect with my mom's surgery. There were 3 emergencies that came in that pushed my mother's surgery back. Had they told me that during the procedure, I would have been fine. I would not have had a panic attack and made a fool of myself in that parking lot. Had they just communicated that, I would have been okay. Absolutely, I understand that things come up, that emergencies happen. I want them to care for those people if their care is more urgent than what my mother's was at the time. But they didn't communicate. So I had all these thoughts going on in my head of, I made the story up of what was going on. And I was spiraling. So again, I didn't say anything at the time. My mother gets admitted. We go, I get her all settled in the room, and I could not let it go because all I could think about was, I don't want anybody else to feel the way that I have just felt. I've got to say something. They've got to know, because if I don't step up and say something, this is going to happen to someone else. And if they don't know, they can't make a difference or an impact on somebody else's life. So I stepped up to the table. I invited myself to the table. And I went upstairs. The surgery team was still there, and I was able to tell them what happened and how they made me feel. They were mortified, of course, but thanked me for letting them know, and that they didn't want anybody to ever feel that way again. So I walked out of there feeling like I've made a difference. I stepped up. I took that opportunity to impact somebody else's life. And about a week and a half after, I get a handwritten note from the surgery team thanking me again for bringing that to their attention, and that they don't want to ever forget that story and let that happen to somebody else. I have to believe I made a difference that day by stepping up, speaking up, and letting them know how it made me feel. And I trust and I believe that they're not going to let anybody else feel that way. So the importance of that customer service, hearing them, looking at the visual cues, communicating, the duration. Things don't always go the way that we set out to plan, but talk about what happens in between. You know, if I know in the automotive field, my car's been sitting out of here for 2 hours. Why hasn't it been taken back? Well, there could have been, something that's happened, or they're waiting on a part or what have you. It's okay. Things happen. Communicate it. Communicate it to the person. Don't let them make up their own stories, because that is going to make a difference in your customer service. That experience with them acknowledging and hearing me feeling heard, and that I made a difference in someone else's life, completely changed what my customer experience survey was, because they got all 5s, because they did some service recovery, they acknowledged me, they heard me, and I trust that they're not ever going to let that happen again.